welcome to the Chronicles of Yarnia, the podcast from Montclair's local yarn store. I am Jen.
Amanda.
Kathleen.
And I actually know what episode this is.
Yay! Because there was build-up to this.
Because there was build-up. And I retained it in my little peanut brain. It is episode 75.
Yay!
And
it's a very special episode. We are going to be answering a lot of your questions.
Yay!
And mainly...
Thank you so much for commenting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was super fun.
And also, just because of our scheduling, we got so many questions in like a day and a half.
I know, you guys are on it.
We had...
we had a giveaway. So like...
I know, but I think...
still on it.
I think a lot of people didn't even talk about the giveaway. They're like things they want to know. And we had promised for episode 75 that we were going to tell you about how we started.
Yep.
And because we've referred to it, and we know we've been going on for a long time, so it's going on with digressing. And,
we digress.
And given that it's our 75th podcast, has it been almost 3 years, Amanda? Is that right?
I
don't remember exactly when we started.
Charlie was...
He was a toddler. He was
he was 9 months old.
He was a baby.
He was because he was in the bucket.
Old.
Yeah, he was in the bucket,
and now he's turning 4.
Wow!
Oh my God, he's
so
So it's more than 4 years.
About 3
more
years.
More than 3 years.
No, it's about 3 years now.
Or
we started in March
it is
April.
almost exactly 3 years. So it seems like a good time to do
an all-encompassing. Because honestly, you can always go back and watch.
When I've watched really early ones, I kind of cringe a little bit.
Oh my God! Right?
My editing skills have improved.
Well, I just feel like we're all more comfortable. We're
all more comfortable.
Not that we ever didn't enjoy it. We did enjoy it. Now we really enjoy it.
I will say, after
about 6...
Yeah, I used to sit in the middle.
That's right. Well, in the other store, we had a different
Why am I in the middle?
I don't... Because I'm by the heater.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And I was like, I'm dying. I can't do this.
We have a radiator right here.
After about 6 months, I gave up on the I'm going to wear makeup for this, because...
But your features are dark enough. You don't.
Oh yeah, no, it's the eyebrows and the glasses all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Eyebrows, ladies, always eyebrows.
Oh, eyebrows are totally important. Yes.
Sisters, not twins. Sisters.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good one because you're gonna kill yourself if you try to make up twins.
Oh God, no. Yeah.
I didn't give up on makeup.
I know, Amanda.
I do the makeup too because otherwise I look like I have no eyes.
Well,
and that's kind of creepy.
I rely on the glasses for that. Otherwise, I have tiny little squinty eyes with hooded lids, and that's never a good thing. Anyway, again, we digress. Mm-hmm. But actually, we should say a little bit more about what the podcast is about. Yes, this is a podcast all about knitting and crocheting and fiber arts and all fun things you can do with yarn.
Yeah.
And we're coming to you, I was going to say live, but it's not at all live.
We're live.
We're taped. Thanks,
from Busy Watch on Avenue in Montclair.
Yeah.
Yes.
From our store Yarnia in Montclair. So we should dive right in because I feel like we got a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of answers, and we're gonna ramble.
Mm-hmm. So because we always do.
We do.
So we've got a list. We're hoping to get through 10 questions. We'll see how we do. Thank you again all for contributing those questions. We had some things in mind, and you guys definitely gave us some more great ideas. Yeah. As always, we appreciate that.
Good questions, guys.
So question number 1 is how we met. Yes. So actually, poor Amanda hasn't gotten to say a word yet. So why don't you start?
I'm fine.
You start.
Why don't you start with how we met?
Well, we met at the Montclair Knitting Circle. Yay! So we're in Montclair, New Jersey, and in 2017, right?
Yeah.
That's when, was it 2017 or 2016? No.
It was
2016. The Montclair Knitting Circle started spring of 2016.
Mm-hmm. I went to the very first meeting.
Yeah.
It was at Mary Krugman's house.
Mary Krugman, yes.
Mary Krugman and Barbara Rudy.
Barbara was the captain of the knitting circle for a while.
The head of the knitting circle. I love the oxymoron quality of that.
Head of circle. Head of circle.
But and she still is quite involved. But, as
and
it
now
was
Jasmine
growing, she
is
kind
of super involved and has sort of co-captained.
I love it.
But yeah, so I had just quit my corporate job.
Same here.
Yeah. And had was like, wow, literally all of the adults I interacted with were in the office in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. So I saw on Facebook, I guess, Mary put in Secret Montclair or one of the Montclair local things like, hey, come to Knitting Circle. And I had some languishing stockinette webs. I was like, no, whatever, right? Sure. I mean, maybe there's people there to talk to. And fill my day. So I went, and I never stopped going. Well, until I started another job. That's a different story. But yeah, I met these lovely ladies.
Yay!
You were at the first meeting, right?
You were at the first.
I think I was there like 3 or 4.
I was either second or third.
Well,
I think you and I had similar schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and actually this kind of feeds into also how we started, so I'll leave that part out for now, but I was also really happy when I heard that this knitting circle was starting, and because I've loved to knit. I only didn't knit for 10 years after college, maybe, because I was having really bad pain in my hands.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know, it's one of those things, you see one doctor, they kind of scared me, do you have arthritis, you know, that, and but
you're
basically,
broken.
well, that may be true.
You're like, in many ways. Like, which one
But fix the
specifically?
hands.
You're like,
So-
I need these.
And actually, this is one of my absolute tips. I attribute so much of the hand pain, and this is a long time ago, to aluminum needles, aluminum straight needles.
Oh, yeah.
They are not...
They're bad for your
me,
wrists.
they're not good for your hands. They're not good for your hands, your wrists. Whenever people come in and ask about, well, why should I use circular? This is a straight project. Because the weight is in your lap. You're not putting stress on your elbows. You're not putting stress on your wrists.
Right here.
So anyway, I did have a brief period of 10 years where I did not knit. But then once and my sister Irene, who Jen knows, so we kind of had a connection to each other even before we met. We'd always heard about each other.
Yep.
She, one year at Thanksgiving, gave me some sock yarn and size 1 needles and said, "You're going to make socks." And I was like, okay.
All right.
So I did. And that was kind of my first dipping my toe back into knitting. And that is probably, it's easily 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you have been in town for how long?
About 22 years.
Okay.
Maybe
And
actually 23 or 24, because we moved, we were here a couple years before Haley was born, and she was 21 in November.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And I moved to Montclair pre-children, pre-marriage, when Jonathan and I moved in together, in 2003. And I worked with Irene, your sister, basically from 1999 to whenever she left Penguin. And I left Penguin shortly after she left Penguin. No, I'm sorry. She left Penguin after I left Penguin. I left Penguin, I was a children's book editor. And like Amanda, I quit my corporate job because I was burnt out.
I was not a children's book editor.
You were not a children's book editor. But we were equally burnt out. And then I went to the second or third meeting of the knitting circle, and I remember having to be like, okay, we're going to meet people. We're going to meet people that we haven't known for 20 years.
I know.
We're going to meet people. It'll be okay. But you can do this. Because although I'm very extroverted, I'm also like...
It's true. No, I think that's a thing. So I just went on like a business trip, and I went with one of my former partners for work, and I was like, he's like so smooth in every social situation. I don't understand it. And I'm like, I'm so glad you're here because I can just like, I know I'm not going into a room where I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, it panics me, and he's like, it panics everybody.
You just
Some
have
of us
to
just
deal
handle
with
it differently. I'm like, well, that makes me feel better. I'm glad knowing everybody here is panicked.
I was going to say the only exception would be my former boss, Eileen, who I have never seen anyone be able to work a room so naturally and effortlessly as Eileen, and I know for a fact that she is not anxious. And I'm like, you are a unicorn.
Yes. We don't talk about that.
30 years of
Eileen.
sales.
So I hear an alarm going off at the table in the back. I'm going to go silence my phone because I have a feeling if I don't, it's always those little things that you think.
Let's see, I don't think you were at the first meeting I went to, but you were.
I was, yeah.
You were.
And then, so this was
Jen
probably...
inspired me to like knit something other than stocking head.
I forgot what I was. Oh, I think I was working on my Waiting for Rain.
And then I
Stitch and Lace.
I knit Waiting for Rain because I loved yours.
I had
we both
no
had teals.
idea what I was working on at that point, but
because I met you at the
that sidewalk sale, which was probably, I feel like that was like 6 months after I joined the knitting circle. It was a while.
It was a while after.
You like at the outside thingy.
Yes, it was Knitting in Public Day.
Knitting in Public Day.
And that's when we met Chanel also.
Yes.
Maybe that's when I met
Leslie.
you.
That's when I first bonded with Leslie. No, I don't think you weren't at the Worldwide Knitting in Public Day. It was in Anderson Park.
No, I wasn't at that one.
Yeah, it was by the willow tree.
Because I remember when I did finally meet you, like you walked up.
We were like,
Because Irene had been saying for years, Jen, you've got to meet Kathleen. Kathleen, you've got to meet Jen. And you're like...
To the point where Irene was like... She also takes the one, like, back when you were working in the city, she's like, she also takes the train from Watchung Avenue. I'm sure you guys will run into each other. And I was like, okay, what does she look like? And she's like, she looks like me. And I ran into, like, there was someone there one day. And I was like, she kind of looks like Irene. I'm like, are you Kathleen? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh, no. And then I went in and I was like, Irene, I totally just went up to a stranger and I'm like, Kathleen!
That's so funny. Awesome. I don't think I knew that. Oh my gosh.
But I thought it was hilarious that, like, I
when you
heard about
finally,
you.
Yes, and vice versa. I
for
know.
years.
Yep. Irene kept saying, yes, there's a fellow knitter. You've got to meet her. You guys will get along so well. And
because Irene was kind of, like, in charge of, like, the Penguin Knitting Club. Irene and I basically, ran that with my friend Kim. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
So
that's how we met at the knitting circle.
Kathleen was
totally met through
knitting... crocheting Alexander Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah, that at the... Yeah, oh, too bad. Well, I think I do have pictures of that.
I'll put a picture.
And actually, weird coincidence. My Alexander Hamilton looks like Irene's husband.
Does.
He really does. He looks like Al.
He really does look like Al.
But he also is recognizably Alexander Hamilton.
Totally.
Yes, he also looks like Alexander.
If you've never met Al, then he looks like Alexander.
If you want to know what Al looks like, look at Kathleen's Alexander Hamilton.
But that's right. I forgot that I was that was what I was kind of obsessed. That was definitely in my Hamilton phase. So I was really obsessed at that point, and I thought I would make all the amigurumi. I made Alexander and I made Angelica.
Yeah,
nice.
And I had started Eliza, and Eliza has never been completed.
Sorry, Eliza.
But I really do want to make Jefferson too.
You should make Jefferson.
Maybe one of these days. Like it's like not even on the mental whip list.
There's a long whip list. But this actually, I think, transitions well into our second question, which was
how did we start the store?
How did we start the store?
So, we had all met through the knitting circle, and as, Amanda and Jen talked about, they, were no longer in their corporate jobs. I had been laid off from my last corporate job, like 3 or 4 years before that, and my daughter Haley was, like, in middle school at that point, and that...
Oh my God, middle school.
Yeah.
She was in middle school. She's like a
like maybe actually probably still even like elementary school, like 4th or 5th grade, and it's funny because I like other people's babies, but I'm not like a great mom to babies. I would say like it's
hard.
I like when you can talk to them. I like when you can really have a conversation and things.
I appreciate that.
So
I love infants, and then I love 4 and older.
Mm-hmm.
That middle
the toddler part is
not
hard.
that I don't like adore my little
they're
they're super cute,
but
you want to talk about little people big feelings.
Charlie loves to open the oven and climb in. It's like
please tell me you take video of that, because that is the funniest thing I've heard in a long time.
It's annoying
and like
that's really
so frustrating,
and
but
have
also
like a chef's oven that you cannot physically lock, like you can't put a oven lock on it, so he just like opens, and so when you're cooking you have to like put your hip against the oven so you can't open. It's great.
Wow. So we had, before Haley was in school, we had a great, great daycare that she went to. She was reading Harry Potter before she went to kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like they really were amazing there. So I felt like she was in good hands with people who could deal with her when she was younger. But when she was a little older, I wanted to be there. I really wanted to be around. So I did not want to go back to, being in the city 10 hours a day, commuting another 2 hours a day on top of that, And so I was, I looked at some things locally. I did a couple of different part-time jobs, and nothing was clicking. It's like, sure, I can do any of these things, but I wasn't really that into them. And so one day I was sitting next to Amanda, and it does say this on our website.
Yes, it does.
Sitting next to Amanda at the knitting circle, and I said, what I would really love to do is work at a yarn store or have a yarn store.
Yeah.
And Amanda said, let's do it.
The last one in Montclair had closed about 9 months before.
Exactly.
Montclair went from like 3 or 4 yarn stores to 0.
Literally 5 at one point.
Yeah.
Which is so...
And
at the
primarily
time,
through retirement.
I had no idea how weird that was. Like, it's like, of course your town has multiple yarn stores.
Who doesn't?
Right? Though, now we know it's like there are 20 on the Woolwalk in New Jersey, and that's kind of a lot.
That is
a lot.
As for the size of the state. But anyway, so I had been a customer at all these different yarn stores. Actually, I kind of volunteered at the last one to close for a while. That was one of my forays into what should I do, and the owner was lovely. She was really nice, but she was, you know, kind of nearing the end of her career.
That was the one up in
the
Montclair?
news. Yeah.
Her husband was an actuary.
There's like a connection there.
So, and I was, you know, a really big customer of Sticks and Stitches. That was my favorite yarn store.
Yeah.
I think were you knitting when they were still open? You
probably
weren't.
I mean, I was knitting, but I was in the big craft store yarn phase of my knitting career. I didn't know there was local yarn stores.
So anyway, we were kind of bemoaning the fact that there was no place local to get yarn that we liked. You know, I mean, yeah, sometimes craft store yarn is perfect. It's like, I really want to make a float tote. I am going to use sugar and cream. It's
exactly.
We don't sell sugar and cream. I'm going to go
like
to Michael's or something.
Yeah, I love their like scrubby stuff.
Yeah. But for, you know, for sweaters and things like that, I'm going to spend a lot of time. I keep things forever, pretty much.
Same.
So I'm going to use really quality, you know, yarn. So
and everything was like at least a 30-minute drive, usually 40 with traffic.
40,
exactly.
Yeah.
And by the time you find parking
Summit
and Madison. Yeah, I remember I went to Madison once.
It's your whole morning is gone.
Yeah. Exactly. At least, you know, So really, and given how many stores there had been in Montclair, we knew there was a market for it.
Well, yeah. So I do this all the time. It's really a problem.
You're a serial entrepreneur.
Well, yeah, but I didn't like grow up that way. This is something that's like emerged since 2016. I mean, I was having drinks with somebody at this conference I went to last week, and he's like, you know, I want to be in microinsurance, so I specialize in insurance. I'm like, this is what we should do. We should start we should start this. We should start. And he's like, we could do this. I'm like, yeah, but you gotta give me some time.
Right, you're like,
or maybe
let me wrap up a
you
couple
should
first.
start handing some of those off to other people. Like, you have the great idea and get them going, but you don't have to do
and then
all
you
of
can
them
be like,
yourself.
okay, now it's
but
your
we're
turn.
glad you did do this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did this one ourselves. Because,
I'm glad I did this one too, because this is way more fun
This
than
is
the
the most
insurance
fun one.
projects I usually work on.
So they basically were like, I really want to do this. Let's do it. And then I was like, I want to help.
And literally one day, you know, like a week or, you know, say a week after we had this initial conversation, Amanda rides over to my house on her bicycle, and we sit down at my dining room table and we start brainstorming and putting together a business plan.
Yep.
And
which I basically haven't ridden since then because I've had babies.
It's funny. I was thinking about that as you know, we were kind of getting ready for this. It's like, oh yeah, and we did actually review it for the first couple of years.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah. We looked through it.
Yes,
but also I feel like now we have our hands in so many things. I'm trying to think of what it's equivalent to. It's almost like it is always worth checking in with things like that.
Oh
but,
no!
But we're doing.
It's on my list of to-dos to like do another 5-year financial projections and all that.
Yeah,
but. My spare time.
Yeah, non-existent spare time. Right. And we do have plans. We actually were talking about some of them before this. Yeah, we always
have plans.
No lack of ideas.
I mean, but this is also the thing. The thing that worked out, I think, really well is that I don't know how people do this with just one person.
No,
absolutely. And
is that like
kudos to anyone that does. Like, I've gotten to be friendly with some of the different yarn store owners in New Jersey through the Wool Walk calls, and I admire all of them so much because most of them are sole proprietors.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the three of us are like crazed and have other employees who are crazed sometimes. And I, you know, one of them also said to me, it's like, well, you guys do a podcast. You do, you know, you have more in-store events. You're partnering with your... Yes, we are doing those things, and we love doing those things.
Absolutely.
You know? But it's like, I can't imagine one person wearing all those different hats. Even with us sharing the hats, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and it's because there's three of us, we are able to divide things up. You know, thankfully, like, I am not very mathy. Unless you're talking about knitting math.
Unless it's
which
patterns.
I can do knitting math.
You totally can do knitting math.
It's like dance math.
Right.
Count to 8.
Yeah, I have a hard time with this. But, like, Amanda can do, like, finance things.
Yeah. We don't have an accountant.
No, we have Amanda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, thank God. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it helps on the, like, when you're starting a business, it helps to have, like, all those skills that you don't have to hire other people to do.
Mm-hmm. You
to
can
fill
keep
in
it
things.
in-house.
Yeah, we get to...
Oh, actually, yeah, that was one of the questions that's not, like, a major question, but it was like, you know, how do we come up with orange? I was in branding before.
Yeah.
So I do our graphics and, a lot of the marketing, and we're working with other people on that now too. But even just having had that, we do have a lot of different things within our backgrounds that have made a huge difference in how we've been able to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I have writing, marketing, copying. Did that for years. Look on the back of the book.
Mm-hmm. I don't
paperback book.
Any of the descriptions. Although I used to write the blog.
You did.
When we had the blog, when I had time to write a blog. We used to have a blog, which I really enjoyed. I was doing like a post every week.
Yeah, you were really good about that.
But that was on our first website, and when that website went away, all the blog went away. So none of those are saved. I hope somebody enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I am bad
with... now we do the podcast.
Yeah,
so
we do the
that's
podcast.
Our big,
so that's
it's
kind
like
of our
you have to kind of,
and like, I do the newsletter, do classes, things like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm good with deadlines. As long as I have a deadline, I can get it done. If there's no deadline, it's not happening.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. And that's,
I
the
think it's human
ADHD
nature
of it all.
But I also think it's human nature to some degree. I mean, I don't. There are many people who are good.
Well, sort of, but I think you have a deadline and you have 3 weeks in which to accomplish something, and doing it all the night before.
Yeah.
No, I'm more of
right before it's due.
I'm more of a long-term planner. And actually, like right now, I can only get done in a day what must get done that day.
Yeah.
And that uses up, till midnight. Right. Which is frustrating because I never get done any of those strategic projects that I want to do. I only get done the most critical things to do in a day.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do too. And being here, I'm the store manager. I'm here, 5 days a week, sometimes more depending on what's going on. And I have my current, I did bullet journals for a long time. Right now there's so much going on that even a bullet journal is not enough.
Yeah.
Because reading the handwriting takes more time than reading type. I'm not kidding. So I've got...
Kathleen's handwriting is difficult to read. My handwriting is also difficult to read.
I can read all of that. But,
I can read some of it. I'm getting better at it.
I've got 2 columns on a double side, on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so you can fit 55 lines, right? The Yarnia side is full of 55 lines. The personal side is probably about 30 lines. And every day, and I don't update it every day, I update it every 4 to 5 days. But, I know what my top priorities are. They're all there, spelled out in black and white. And I come in and it completely changes.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like I admire people who say, oh, well, I have my list and I work through it and everything. It's like, but somebody called and they need such and such. And, so you've got to get on the phone with Bertha.
You got to be flexible. You got to work on the fly.
Exactly.
I know I can only complete 3 things a day. That's it. Between meetings and, things that come up and kids and whatever, 3 things a day is it.
I know.
So anyhow, that I would really say...
rambly story.
It was a very rambly story.
That is how we started and kind of how we generally organize things, I would say.
And our first location was down the road at
Kathleen is also our real estate coordinator.
Oh my God.
That's
good at it.
Thank you.
So good.
I do love that part of it. I really do.
I mean,
and hopefully we stay here for a good long time.
I hope so, because I love this space.
This is such a great space and such a great location.
And I mean, I really liked the space at on Valley. It was very... So our first space on Valley was very much like, as Kathleen said, like a jewel box. And it was just a
in the middle of July, in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Very warm.
Oh my God.
Very
that south facing,
sunny.
One entire side of the store was windows.
Yes.
Quite hot. Got quite hot. It's a plant store now, which is much more appropriate.
It's perfect for them.
Mind your beads and seeds.
Mind your beads and seeds.
Lovely group. Yeah.
I do miss the Enzo's Pizza because I do love Enzo's Pizza.
I do too. But the Thai Indian place opened on Friday.
So there's a Thai and Indian place down the road, and Watchung Plaza is such a great location.
It's so
fun. Dino's is here.
And Dino's is here.
My kids go down the street to Dino's. Actually, my kids go down the street to Dino's. Abby comes and works on Sundays only for green chops. And now she's into Bonjour Montclair.
I like Bonjour Montclair.
The crepes, au con savory, sweet, and
I do love them.
She literally comes just for the food.
See,
she's my kind of girl.
Maybe sometime. Well, she's in school when I'm mainly working here, but I love Bonjour Montclair. But one day Haley and I were, we were coming here. She had a doctor appointment or something. It took them 45 minutes to have our 2 crepes ready.
Oh no!
It took them quite a long time on Sunday, but it's great because I just sent her
And you're like,
yeah,
look, I can have you live in
if we'd known exactly, it's totally within walking distance. But
it's perfect also because we all live in this neighborhood. I have literally lived in 3 places on Park Street, which is right over there.
Right around the corner,
if I leaned my head out the door, I could see our first apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, and my kids go to school that way. Like,
Yeah,
literally right there and
it
right
is
there.
really right
Like, it's such a great location. I love it. Kathleen did an awesome job.
Thank you. I'm so happy that this was available at the right time because it was getting bad. We had a 3-year lease at the other place. It was, the pandemic had started. We knew a year in that we were going to be looking for a bigger space, and it was just a matter of when we found it and could we afford moving and breaking our lease, or did we have to wait? And literally, I looked for 2 years and we didn't find anything. And thank goodness. I just was driving down Watchung Avenue, as I do most days, and I saw, for rent in the window, and I stopped the car, wrote down the number, and called within minutes.
Perfect.
And remember, we were one of like 7 people to meet with the landlord, and we were an established business already. We'd been in business for almost 3 years at that point, and she liked us, and
we didn't want to make a ton of modifications to the space either.
Yeah. No.
She was a little bit worried about that type of stuff.
Right, that's true. Yep. So we did make the office, which is kind of nice.
Right.
I like that.
Office. Yes. Well,
we have an office. We have storage.
Over
absolutely.
What it was before.
Yeah, for sure. So we should get on to
what's our next one?
Question 3. How did each of us start knitting?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Are you self-taught? Did someone teach you? All of that.
All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go because I brought the first thing I ever knit.
Yay!
So cool. So I started knitting in 2001. I'm an actuary, as I think I've said a few times, but I don't really talk about my job that much, except
Your other job.
Yes, my other job, except that it makes me leave the podcast frequently.
She has meetings.
So true.
If you're really curious, you can LinkedIn or Google search and you'll find me. So I was then a young actuarial student, supporting a family of 4 on a just college grad income, and I was like, I need to do something for Christmas. It was like getting to be November or something, and Real Simple magazine had just started that year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a 1-page, front of 1 page, back of 1 page, how to knit a hat.
I remember that.
Wow.
I wish I still had that pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably figure it out now.
Yep.
Frankly. Sure. But for years, I wished I still had that pattern, and I never thought about just figuring it out. Because it doesn't, exist anymore. You can't find it on their website or anything. But here's my hat that I made.
Oh!
So fun.
I love it.
It's just a 2x2 rib. You can see here at the beginning, I didn't quite get the first 2x2 on this first row.
It's got an edging.
It looks like my swatch, which I wish I had brought. I mean, I still have the first swatch I ever made, which I'll tell you guys later.
There's some funky bits going on in that first couple of rows, but I sort of figured it out. They did not have very much of this is how you make a knit stitch, this is how you make a frill stitch. It was
you did
4 pictures.
A really good job.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
There's a big coffee stain on the back. I cut for it. Whatever. It's in our.
I thought it fell in Caroline or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually my stuff.
I think it's coffee stain. It's pretty gross. But kids wear it. It's in our thing. Whatever.
I love it.
So cute.
Is it seamed or is it?
It is seamed. No, I
makes
knit it
sense.
flat.
Yeah.
And then somewhere there's.
But you must have done decreases too. Yeah, there's
decreases
in there. Yeah. There's your seam.
Oh yeah, there's my glorious seam. It's pretty.
Not bad for our first project.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that you still have it.
So I knit this. This is my first one. It's like with Woolies or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fisherman's.
It looks like fisherman's wool or thick and quick.
Yeah. I think it was that fisherman's. Whatever. Anyway, so I made that. And then I got more yarn, and everybody got a hat for Christmas.
Very nice.
So I don't have any of my 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th projects, but I have this one still. This is my prototype.
Love it.
So but it's good. It's just a little.
Wow,
Very cute. Very
it's just a cute ribbed hat.
I wore it for a long time.
Yeah.
With a coffee stain on it, and I never washed it.
Jen, how about you?
I learned to knit probably when I was 6 or 7. Maybe 8. I don't know. I was always like a kid who made things. As my dad would say, you're the makingest kid I know.
Oh, that's so cute.
And it's true, because if I got bored, I'd be like, let's go make something. I mean, this is essentially what I did. And my mom was a knitter and a crocheter. And so she taught me continental, and she always is like, you're doing it wrong, because I never tension my yarn. Never. And she like wraps it around her finger like 8 times and is so tight. My mom's allergic to wool though, so like, and developed that allergy after making like a beautiful wool Aran sweater for my dad.
Wow.
But she's a seamstress too, so that was around when she taught me how to sew when I was 7. And so I remember I had it kind of looks mohair-y, but it's not actually mohair. It is some synthetic thin gray thing that I did a garter stitch scarf, and then later on when I was a teenager and like had no money for yarn and got bored, I pulled it out and did another one in the same yarn. And then in college I was like, that's looking a little ratty, so I did a different pulled it out, did a different pattern. And then after college I did it again where I was like, that looks ratty, so I pulled out the yarn again. And then now I have a garter stitch like airy lacy scarf.
Cool. That's amazing. Yeah.
So I do have the first thing I knit. It's just been through like 15 iterations.
Multiple times. Yeah. That's so cool.
And my mom also got Threads magazine, which back in the 80s, because I'm old, had
not
knitting.
as old as me.
That's true. It's like youngest, middle, oldest. But we're all like within the realm. Threads magazine had knitting content, and I learned really well from reading instructions. So they had Barbara Walker directions on like, I distinctly remember this again because my mother never got rid of the Threads magazines, and I already said they're mine when you kick it. I already put a post-it on it.
Well, who else would want them to, right? It's like, is anyone else?
I was like, nobody better throw this shit out.
Oh yeah.
So I remember distinctly teaching myself how to knit bias garter stitch.
Oh my gosh!
From a Barbara Walker article about making like placemats, and it was red and white.
Wow! Oh, like corner to corner type.
Yeah, corner to corner bias garter stitch.
Nice.
2 color. Like one stripe of one ridge of one ridge of another. Like they had Meg Swanson articles and Elizabeth Zimmerman articles, and so like I knit consistently through high school, and then in college I knit more, and I would knit in class if the professor said okay.
I've been able to do that.
I taught my roommates how to knit.
Fallen asleep less in econ if I'd been knitting.
Oh my god, seriously. That was exactly why. I was like, can I knit through calculus, because I'm not going to stay awake for this shit. Sorry.
So boring.
So boring. So yeah, and then after college, I also knit even though I was like super broke. And like, you know, I did not learn my mom tried to teach me how to crochet when I was like 7 or 8 too. It did not click until I was like 35. Then I was like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. She's like, it only took 30 years. I'm like, thanks, Mom. But yeah, so like I just also distinctly remember in college being able to there was a yarn store right across the street from my college. It's still there.
Cool.
And I had like $20, and I got like 1 skein of like thick hand-dyed yarn, and it was like my only 20, and I like made my dad like this little like wrappy thing.
Aww.
And like I'd have stuck in it and like
nice.
lined it because I was like, that was all the money I had. But yeah, so it was mostly craft storing yarn until like I actually had a job. And I also distinctly, and like I have a huge library of knitting books. Again, like I learned really well from directions, and I distinctly remember going into a couple of knitting stores in New York City when I was working, and like I was 22, and I remember going into one that is no longer there, and them being such snotty no, sweetheart, do you really know what you're doing? I'm like, I actually know what I'm doing more than you do. And like, just, that drove me crazy. So it's one of those things where it's like, now owning your own store is making sure that like everybody of every ability is welcomed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also like,
no one is doubted.
No one is doubted,
like,
whether
we're here to help.
age, gender, color, anything. It's like crocheters welcome, knitters welcome, everything welcome.
Weavers welcome, spinners welcome.
Weavers welcome, spinners welcome, because that was always such a, like, I was always so salty about it. I hold grudges. And believe me, when they closed, I was like,
well deserved.
I mean, it was like 6 years later, and I was like, shouldn't have been snotty about it. Shouldn't have.
Oh boy.
I don't know. Like, I'm such a grudge holder. In a pleasant way.
Yeah.
Right.
So I first learned, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, lived with us for a few years when I was like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, maybe, something in that range. And she crocheted all the time. I still have a blanket that she made for me, which is so nice. She made blankets for me and my sisters and, you know, all of us who were around, all of her grandchildren who were living at that time. And I sewed a lot when I was really little. I used to do hand sewing, and then I did machine sewing as well. I was always also one of those kids who was like always constantly making things, making doll clothes, making that little spoolie thing, like making the I-cord,
the I-cord.
making Barbie dresses by sewing the I-cord into So yeah, my paternal grandmother lived with us, you know, when I was in my late single digits. And she taught me how to crochet. I wanted to learn how to crochet. She taught me how to crochet. My mom hadn't learned any crafts when she was young. Her mom passed away at a really early age, and she just didn't have anyone to learn from. Mm-hmm. And then, I'm the oldest of 5, so she was busy with children all the time. And so it was really nice that my grandmother was there, and I learned from her. So I made a few little things. I remember I made like this kind of patchwork granny square bag and everything, and then she actually gave me money to make a crocheted coat. Like, she bought me this yarn.
Wow.
I always, I don't know, I guess I was like always a little over ambitious, and I just wanted to do like a big thing. You know what I mean? It was just
I'm gonna make a thing.
So she was really happy that I was like one of her only grandchildren that actually was interested in fiber crafts. So she's like, hey, go for it, And there was a yarn store on my street when I grew up.
Wow.
Again, like, why I didn't realize that yarn stores weren't like everywhere, because there was a yarn store on the corner. So I don't think that was where we probably bought it at, a big box type store at the time for the crocheted coat. And I wish I don't even know if I have any pictures of it, but I can see it in my mind so clearly. It was a Greek key design. It was the 70s. By this. It was cream with it was almost like a little bit like the dude sweater.
Oh, kind of like
that in crochet.
Cowisham kind of.
Yeah, and it had like this Greek key design in brown at the bottom, so 70s. So, So after my grandma passed, I think she moved to someone else's house for a while, and then after she passed away, I still was doing my crafting, but I started seeing how knit fabric and crochet fabric were really different, and I wanted to learn how to knit, and I didn't know anyone that did knit, but there was this yarn store on my block. So, and by this point I was in high school, and I saved my allowance for like 6 months, because I know how I am. If I have a big investment in something, I will finish it, and if I don't, I may not. So literally, I saved my allowance for 6 months. I bought 100% alpaca. I still have some of the yarn.
Wow!
Beautiful cream colored, probably undyed, 100% alpaca. Made a turtleneck. It was beautiful. It was so gorgeous. It is also how I found out I'm allergic to alpaca. So I never, ever could wear it. I even like when I put it on after I finished it, my eyes puffed up. I got stuffy. I just couldn't breathe through my nose, and I'm seriously allergic to alpaca. Not a skin itch, just like, just can't breathe and eyes, and just my body does not like it. So it's very sad. It eliminates a certain percentage of things I can use here, which is, but what can you do? It's okay. So I gave the sweater to my mom, and but it totally got me hooked on knitting. It really, really did. It was like, in spite of, really, it was very sad that half my year's allowance.
You should have sold it to your mom.
I know, right? She probably gave me some money. She probably
Can I get some of that allowance back?
Yeah.
Kick it on back to the maker.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. But anyway, So I really started knitting in earnest, and I didn't knit too much during college, actually, which I'm kind of surprised. I went to school in Chicago, so you would think I would.
It would have come in handy.
It would have, but I was busy with whatever I was busy with. And then, but after college, I knit, really intensively. I made a lot of sweaters, and actually, well, we can talk about it in favorite knits. One of my favorite knits was from that period.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is how I learned.
I also had a local yarn store that was very close to us growing up. Still there too,
Uh-huh.
and they were fantastic. And they're very much like a specific type of yarn store where like it run by a personality. But he was always delightful, and he was always so kind to me. And it was down the road from our favorite fabric store. So, we would go to the fabric store, and my mom would get stuff for projects, and, I would get stuff for projects, and then we'd go to the yarn store. And I just remember how kind he was to me, 11 or 12, being, telling me about stuff and, chatting.
Well, someone who recognized that. Someone who recognized. Just because you're younger doesn't mean you're not capable and not...
Him.
Yeah.
Loved him. I believe he's still there. I think his mom passed away, but it was him and his mom.
What town is it in?
Pearl River, New York.
Okay, cool.
And I think it's the Stitchery.
Nice.
Wow. But yeah.
Yeah, my best friend in high school. I didn't knit, crochet or anything, but my best friend. I was at her house all the time. Her mom owned a fabric store. She was a Viking sewing machine dealer, and she quilted, so she had a long arm quilter, and she did the quilting finishing for, you could finish a top and send it to her to be finished. And then she'd do commissions and things like that. So I sort of, my whole high school was growing up around fiber crafts, but the sewing and quilting side. She had a beautiful craft room.
I love that. Yeah. It's so funny. I was talking to my mom this weekend, actually, because I brought some stuff up to her to get altered and add pockets to dresses that didn't have it. And she was like, "What kind of sewing machine do you have again?" I'm like, "I have a Pfaff because you taught me well." But I was like, "But it's also a hell of a lot easier to drag your stuff up to my mom because sewing always intimidated me because." Once you cut the fabric, you can't put that back together.
It's true.
And knitting, I was like, well, no. I can
pants.
pull it out again.
I've made pants of unfortunate dimensions.
Yeah. So, I know how to sew, but, I'm way more intimidated by sewing than I am knitting.
I've got 40 minutes left, peeps.
All right.
How many?
We're moving.
40.
All right. Yeah, we gotta stay on task. All right. So, next question is, what are we wearing?
Yes.
Let's keep going.
Let's go.
Can we combine this with a deserted island yarn?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
What we're wearing and what is our...
Yes, actually that is quite appropriate.
Good.
Yeah, it is perfectly appropriate. So one question is, what are we wearing? And the other question is, what yarn would you take on a deserted island?
Yeah,
What's your desert
if
island
you had to
yarn?
pick one yarn to knit with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
What would it be?
Yeah,
Amanda.
So.
Mine would be, I am wearing my Marius sweater by, I always forget her name.
It's in her project.
Dal, something. Yes.
Uh-huh.
It's down there. But it's from the, 50s or something like that. But it's very traditional Norwegian colorwork pattern. I love this one. If you watch Skandir, she knits everything. Marius. And I really got inspired. I loved her. And it's frequently blue with white and a red contrast. So I just love this design. And I knit this in North Light Water Street, DK.
Which is such a lovely yarn.
Which is so good. Yeah, if I had to, there's a lot of brands that I love.
Yes.
A lot. But if I had to pick one brand to use forever that is so well made and so versatile, right, that you could knit lace with it, no problem, color work, no problem, right, stripes, anything, the palette's fantastic, it would be Northlight, because they take, and it's like traditional yarn too.
Yeah.
It's
very
not
classic.
It's not something that's going to have a challenge, moving from one type of stitching to another, knitting, stitching, crochet, anything. And if I had to pick one weight of theirs, it would be the Water Street DK, because I love DK. It's not too heavy.
And it's merino and cashmere.
It is merino and cashmere. That's a bonus.
Delicious.
But
so nice.
But yeah, I love DK because you knit a sweater and it takes just long enough that it consumes a lot of your time. You're not finishing it in 2 seconds, right? which sometimes you want the thing, but I also like just knitting. And if you know, if you're going to invest in the yarn, I want it to at least last a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Fun part of the knitting it. So I feel like DK does that, but it doesn't take forever and ever like a fingering.
Yeah,
like say a fingering color vest that takes a year.
Which we just sleeves.
Thank goodness.
But DK is also super wearable.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It transitions the seasons.
It's a good 3-season yarn.
So,
yeah,
and it just
sure.
this is what 3 years.
Or for
old?
Amanda, it's a 4-season yarn. For the rest of us, it's a 3-season.
Exactly.
4-season
Very
yarn.
true.
But yeah, I mean, this looks great, and it's like 3 years old, and I haven't depilled it in forever and ever.
It's gorgeous.
This is my fave.
All right, Jen, how about you?
I am wearing my Throwback. I was torn between wearing the Throwback and the Felix. Both are knit in Lucky Tweed, which shocker. So I can't necessarily choose just one yarn.
I chose a brand.
I
don't like to follow rules.
I don't like to
sometimes.
follow rules. So let's see, fingering weights. I would go with La Bien Aimée Cashmerino for fingering weight.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
DK weight. Oh, I do love the Water Street. I also love Kelborn Woolen Scout.
Scout is spectacular.
I also love Spun
I saw
Right Round
someone
Squish
Scout.
DK.
Yeah.
I also love Knitted Wit DK. Those are kind of my go-tos.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's packing a big suitcase.
Packing a big suitcase. What else do I need? What? It's fine. And then I would say worsted. I do love a Kelborn Woolen Germantown. Classic wool.
Yes.
Classic wool. It's my faves. And then bulky or Aran. Lucky Tweed.
Yes.
Lucky Tweed.
Yeah, that Germantown. That's a solid.
I love
contender
Germantown
as well. I mean, I don't. If you go back a couple of years, I had all the Christmas projects in
all the Germantown.
Literally
like
about
Germantown
5 projects
all the time. Yeah.
in a row in Germantown.
Well, even that giant blanket. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a
All my whips
fantastic
was Germantown.
classic wool yarn.
Yes.
Right? It is like vintage wool yarn. It is like modern like colors. Love it. Love it. I love a Kelborn wool.
They have expanded the palette so much.
They have.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like if you're going to a deserted island, then you want a yarn that can show off your craft, right?
Yeah.
Like your stitches, something that you can like change the colors on, not necessarily have the yarn compete.
Yeah. That drives
For the
it.
attention.
Yeah. And plus also it's got like Germantown has crazy yardage. So you're like
It does.
I feel like those games never run out.
That's cool.
So I'm like, this
There's
is perfect
room in your suitcase after the DKs.
and especially the way I pack, I'll just shovel.
That's right.
Right
Just
back
keep squishing it in. Keep squishing it in.
I do
It's
love
American.
I do love Kelborn Woolens. I do love the Lucky Tweed is my it's just so pretty and so soft and
I was wearing my Felix yesterday.
squashy. I love it.
So that is a good lead into me wearing something in Lucky Tweed. This is the Magnolia Chunky Cardigan by Camilla Vad.
Here's the lace on the bottom.
Yep,
So nice.
lace on the bottom. And done in Lucky Tweed. And I think that one thing I was talking with a customer yesterday about it, it's like, she says, well, you have to figure out what the climate is on your island. So it's like my desert island would be a little north because I also love Lucky Tweed. I probably have made 7 Lucky Tweed sweaters in the last 2 years. Seriously, I reorganized all my sweaters the other day, and I had a whole stack of Lucky Tweed. Plus, I made one for Jean, I made one for Haley.
Yeah.
You know, so... but the other one that I love so much that I have used for a bunch of different projects is Woolfolk Far.
Oh,
I think
Woolfolk
that's
is good
another.
too.
That would be hard to abandon.
Yeah.
It's hard to decide.
It is really hard to decide. So luckily, as far as we know, we're not actually going to be stranded soon. So
Fortunately,
it's all theoretical.
we get to use yarn for every project.
Because, I mean,
Yes.
practically, if you're on a deserted island and you had a limited amount, I would go with a fingering yarn because then you have
More time to
more
knit.
knitting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's what I always tell people too. Like on a budget,
Yeah.
go
Go
fingering.
fingering.
Go fingering because you're going to get more joy out of that yarn. You're
Absolutely.
going to have more
You
time
get
knitting it.
420 yards.
Yeah.
Versus 87.
Should we go to, like, process versus product? Because I feel like
Clearly.
Yeah,
clearly
that's a good
transitions.
transition. Yep. So.
Like, are you a process knitter or a product knitter? And I think the answer all three of us would give is yes.
Process.
It depends. It depends on the project.
But it depends on the product. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Sometimes
both.
I need that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm both.
I would say I am mostly a project knitter. I find something that I want to do, and then I do it, and I enjoy the process, but I don't really do it for the process.
Yeah.
So though on the other hand, like knitting is my meditation and relaxation.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I usually knit for 2 hours every night. I try. I mean, that not that is my goal, but that is my wish.
Yes.
Ideally.
On nights if I can't, if I'm working longer that it would not make sense to stay up that late or whatever. I don't relax as well. I don't go to sleep as quickly. It definitely is. It's such a.
It helps you wind down.
It totally helps me wind down.
Makes me less
really
angry
does.
at the world.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of both. I mean, I make things to make things.
Mm-hmm.
To make things.
Yeah.
I am by no means a minimalist in any way, shape, or form. But like, I feel like if I'm not going to enjoy the process, like, there's a reason I don't knit in intarsia. I don't enjoy that process.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it drives me up a wall.
So interesting.
I can do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate it.
I'd say 10 months of the year I'm a process knitter, and then November comes and I have to get those projects out for
Interesting.
Christmas.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Crank it out. Santa's workshop. Make it go.
It's true.
Yeah, I rarely
Hanukkah
do.
workshop.
I rarely
Got 8 days.
do like gift knitting like that. Yeah.
I do gift knitting, but only for the people who really truly appreciate it, because I saw for too many years my mom also is a maker and makes stuff. My dad also is a maker and makes stuff. My grandmother, my mom's mom, not so much a maker, and also like Austrian, little mean. So my mom would make these like beautiful, mean Oma, oh bless her. I mean, super interesting in a lot of ways. She was an artist, so she understood the process of making art and whatnot. But like, if she didn't like something, or if it wasn't what she wanted, she would not appreciate it.
Right.
She was not a please and thank you kind of lady to her family. She was to others. But like, my mom would make like beautiful like cross stitch things, or she ended up sewing stuff for her per my grandmother's request, which went over well. But too many times I was there to see the beautiful cross stitch placemats in the closet for the church donation. And my mom was like, well, I'm never making anything for you.
Yeah, really.
So
I would take those suckers back.
Oh, she did.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Definitely.
And my grandmother's friend and housekeeper would would call my mom and be like, "Your mom put them in the closet. You want me to grab them?" And she's like, "Yep." She's like, "Done."
Perfect.
Good.
She understood.
That's good to have someone like that on your side.
Yeah. So I make for my mom, my dad, my sister-in-law is a crocheter now. My brother, he doesn't wear anything, so whatever. My husband,
He wears things.
no, but he doesn't wear handmade things.
So
I don't know. He could be a nudist. Who do I know? What do I know?
So this is a little diversion. So somebody said, what do you do with things that you don't wear anymore? What do you do with some of your hand knits? Actually, I have gifted some of those things. I have gifted things where it's like I made it at the time that I made it, and so maybe at those points I was being a little bit of a process knitter, which I normally really don't think I am. I'm very like, I want to make that.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing.
But, I've had things, I've worn them a few times, and I've then given them to a family member, sometimes just because, and sometimes even as, like, a gift. Like, if it was, and honestly, as long as it's someone who would appreciate it, does it matter if I wore it a couple of times? Not really. Because still, it was all that time and love and beautiful yarn that went into it. So... Yeah. So that is what I have started doing, and I realize I'm really going to do it even more. Like, when I decided, all right, or look back at the end of the winter, I wore this thing once, I didn't wear this one at all. That's a good way to...
I feel like the people who get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, hey, I no longer wear this shawl, would you like it?
Yeah.
People who are offended by that are not going to get offered the shawl.
Right, exactly.
But people who are like, sweet, I'll take it.
Yep.
I gave away one of my shawls that I love. Which one? Chanel's. But I gave it to my...
Chanel's, the V.
Yes. What's the name of that?
Montclair Flare.
No,
the other one.
I gave away that too.
I have mine.
I love it so much.
Oh yeah, what is that?
beautiful.
What
And
is
I
that
made
called?
it out of...
It's here.
Knitted, but she persisted, and Tosh in a dark navy, and it was beautiful.
Yes, I remember that. And I gave mine away too. Mine was made out of La Bien Aimée. It was one of the first skeins I ever had of that. And Ancient Arts.
I gave it away
I think I gave it to Irene.
To my au pair.
Oh, Irene will appreciate that.
Exactly. It was one of those
who appreciated it so much.
Much more her colors
but
than mine.
But I miss it like all the time.
You can make another one. Yeah, what is the name of that pattern?
I'm looking it up because it's going to drive me crazy.
Me too.
It is going to drive me nuts.
Prism something or...
Shanel Wu, one of our first employees, Piper Nell.
Yep.
And it is Mitered Nova.
That is it. Yep.
Mitered Nova.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful pattern.
Yeah.
It's great. Oh.
I have mine. I did it in like a rainbow.
Center double decrease, man.
Yeah.
So
I could see making another one of those. I think just the colors.
That would be a fun class.
Yeah, that would be a good class.
It has a lot of different skills.
It does. It actually does. That would be a good, like,
a good shawl class.
You know, kind of advanced, very advanced
this
beginner,
is what
early
happens.
intermediate.
This is how we come up with things.
Yes,
exactly. We digress, and then we're like, oh
yeah,
let's do this.
Let's do that. Exactly.
What's our next question? Squirrel. Squirrel. Shiny. All right.
Favorite knits or first knits?
Ooh. Okay. Amanda,
so I almost brought mine. But...
You almost brought yours? I did bring mine.
Yeah, show yours. Show yours.
Show it.
Okay. And I'll give you a picture of mine to put in.
All right, cool.
Because I meant to bring it, and I just
I brought it out of the. This I knit right before we started podcasting.
Yeah,
like just a few months before.
So gorgeous.
This was Charlie's baptism blanket, which was ginormous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just white out the whole screen.
There we go. It's beautiful.
So pretty.
Look at that. I did it late.
What was the yarn again, Amanda?
This was Cascade 220 fingering.
Right, right. Yeah,
so just like
undyed white natural wool.
So that's beautiful.
It really is gorgeous.
Definitely heirloom.
Heirloom quality. So Shetlandy hap.
Yes, and I actually sort of made this. I didn't make the pattern up for the side. But it was a half triangle shawl knit at a looser gauge, and I decided I really liked this edging. That was
it's really pretty.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that I really liked this edging, and I wanted to have this around the baby blanket. So I did it sort of like a traditional Shetland shawl would have you do the center and then you do the outside and then you graft them together. But we're not doing that.
Or you pick up and knit along the edges.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was one of the articles in Thread magazines was Shetland lace borders.
Yeah, so that's what I did here is I knit a big triangle in the center on the, increased until it got to about the size that I thought I wanted it. And then I started decreasing. I put these little, and I sort of
cat's paw.
Yeah, I did the little cat's paws in there, and I sort of did the math right, although they get a little squishy here in the center, whatever.
Don't tell anyone.
No one can tell.
And then, picked up all the way around and applied the lace border. You can see my
so pretty. It's really
beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful.
It took me so much longer than I thought it would. I don't know how many skeins are in here. I probably could weigh it and figure it out.
Yeah, I think it was at least 10, wasn't it?
At least.
It's so beautiful, though. This is the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Keep it.
We're
keep it with lavender or whatever. Definitely.
Right. No, I keep
it
in a preserved box. So
I
took it out last night to bring it today. But I sort of had it. The original pattern was knit back and forth, and this one's in the round. So I had to do the purl rows, right? Every other row I had to purl all the way around to make it because it's based in garter.
Yeah.
Most Shetland lace is based in garter.
Right. And it turned out
I
had to really noodle on it and figure out how to do that. I think I did it that way.
I think you...
I remember you going around.
Yeah,
you did.
Or maybe I didn't. Maybe...
No, this is picked up and gone back and forth. This is a back and forth border, and then this is a front border.
I think this is what I did. I did intarsia sort of on the side here. So I wrapped it around.
Wow.
And so I could do a knit all the way. That's what I did.
Oh, smart.
Look at that. But that's why that corner's a little wonky.
Mm-hmm.
So you work all the way around and knit, and then kind of wrap and turn.
Yes.
And turn back and go all the way around and knit.
So this whole corner
that's
has a wrap and
all that
turn.
purling would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But I love it.
It's beautiful.
Yay.
But this is my favorite thing I've ever knit.
That's wonderful.
And I will never knit another one. Every grandchild
gets to use
No,
the
they
same
get
one.
to use
because
one.
the Yarn Harlot like makes
everyone.
Stephanie McPhee makes a new one like this for every freaking baby, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
One.
But
My
means
kids
so much
barely
more.
got blankets.
Haley
When
didn't
they
get a
use
blanket for
the
me.
heirloom.
Yeah.
No, and they certainly didn't get heirloom ones. All right, I'm gonna bring. This is not necessarily my most favorite knit, but I feel like this is my most technical knit. And it's the Sans Serif from the Top Down book. And the reason I feel like it's the most technical, it's kind of like the sweater you did for your mom, where it's got the most tailored concept.
I love the edging. That's so pretty.
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah,
like it's got like
a
little braid going on.
Yeah.
It's set in sleeve. It is not only set in sleeve from the top down, but also designed specifically to fit me. So like this is kind of a magic sweater. Is like I knit this when I was probably like 30 to 40 pounds lighter. And it still fits perfectly. And the reason it still fits perfectly is because it fits in the shoulders. And so this was one where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to, purposefully knit a sweater. And so this was done in Madeline Tosh.
I was about to say, it looks like Tosh.
It does.
I think it's Tosh
Those
DK.
colors have such depth.
And it was done pre-store. So it was one of those ones where I'm like, you know what? I can do a sweater, but I want to do a sweater on purpose, and I want to do technique. And so I did this one.
Cool.
That one's super nice.
Yeah. Love it.
There's a lot of your sweater class that would enjoy doing that.
I think
Maybe
my
not
sweater class
directly.
would kill me if I did this one right after the...
No.
no,
I was
this
like,
is-
you need to wait a year.
I need to wait a
A
year.
palette cleanser for sure.
And this will be the advanced sweater one.
Yeah.
So it was funny when you guys were talking about Entourage earlier. It's like my favorite sweater that I ever made, and I don't know why I didn't bring it today, except I was carrying 3 other bags. You
had other
as I
stuff.
usually had our new business cards, had our all this stuff to carry here. Anyway, it is a black sweater that has got Entourage of flowers all over the front of it. I call it my tapestry sweater, and I made it. After college, it was when Vogue Knitting was the only magazine that had nice knitting patterns. The only one I was aware of anyway, and so it has been around for over 30 years.
Wow.
I used to wear it almost constantly. I actually had to reknit the cuffs because they really wore out. Now, I don't know, I wear it about once or twice a year at this point in the winter, and I do love it. And literally, it was like the 3rd sweater I made, which is kind of insane.
That boggles my mind.
But it's one of those things, sometimes you don't know that something's supposed to be hard, and it's just like, you're like, oh yeah, I can do this, and you just keep going.
I've gotten myself into those situations a couple times.
Yeah. My first sweater was a Lopi sweater, and it was too big, so I just steeked it. And hand sewed a zipper like
That's
a crazy
cool.
person.
Hey, but who knew that was supposed to be
Waiting
hard,
for
right?
rain, I started it, and I had never done short rows or lace before.
And you're like, hey, guess what? Going in the deep end.
It's what it's
I
one
love
of those,
that thing.
It's only knitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not flying a plane.
Right.
You're not driving people
It's not
down the
brain
highway in a
surgery.
truck. Exactly. So it's just knitting. So
Well, my
Be
college
adventurous.
roommate, like I taught her how to knit. She knit like a garter stitch square, and she said, I want to knit socks. And I said, okay, let's knit socks. She knit socks. She's still knitting.
Cool.
Hey, Amy.
cool. All right. What's our time check, Amanda? What
All right,
time is
12
it?
minutes.
12
Let's go.
minutes?
We
Oh,
can
no.
do it.
All right, so we did that. We are gonna, some people suggested a store tour. We are gonna keep that for another time. And what's outside, we'll do inside and outside the store. How we decide what to carry.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That one's not too
Yeah.
hard.
So basically, we did a real analysis before we opened about what we should carry. We looked at what all the other stores in our area were carrying, and we didn't want to, duplicate anyone entirely. But now we're almost 5 years in, which is so crazy. But we are. And so now it really is a matter of deciding what not to carry. It's, we've really got to pick, even though in the beginning we had such a tiny space, we really had to be so selective, which was great training for us.
It really was. We couldn't carry anything that we didn't love.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's still
We
kind
still
of our way that we do it. But, and some people have asked, what would you like to carry that you're not? I really can't think of much of anything. I think we're,
No.
we love our workhorse yarns that we have. We love kind of that next tier.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing. We kind of want to have we want to be inclusive, right?
Absolutely.
So we want to have a beautiful yarn that works for you at the price point that you're at. Whether that is, if you're looking for acrylic, we want to have a great acrylic.
We have great
and we
colors.
do.
And we do.
That I use all the time. I'm sure you've seen my baby sweaters. I know.
Right?
My baby sweaters.
And those are
teddy bear sweaters and acrylic.
affordable and quality and beautiful colors
And wash
King
fantastic.
Cole, and we love it. We want to have great wool yarns. We want to have a wool option for people who don't like superwash.
Absolutely, and we've got so many of those now. Yeah.
We want to have superwash options because we all sometimes need a superwash. Like if you're making an Afghan and you're giving it to somebody who doesn't understand
throw it in the
wool,
dryer.
you need to have a good option.
Yeah.
And we want to have that in a lot of different ways. But we also love, of course, we love a luxury yarn, but not everybody's in the market for a luxury yarn. But some people are.
Exactly.
And, so we
try
want
to
make
cover
sure,
all of those things.
Yeah, we're not like, oh, we only carry fingering or we only carry DK, even though those are two weights that I love. But like, we want to have a little something for everyone, but we have to love what it is.
Exactly.
So like,
I remember when we first started stocking, though, and even like the first couple of years, we would meet with our yarn reps together, which sometimes they don't like because that's a lot of decision making at the table.
Yeah. We've gotten so much better at it, though.
Yeah.
We really
although
have.
let me tell you, picking colors in Mantosh is hard.
Yeah.
And knitted weight.
We try to do those ahead of time. Those we don't do sitting there with the rest.
That's some research.
Do you remember we did have the rule, like,
if two of the three of us liked it,
then
was
we
which
got
is
it.
fair,
Yeah.
which is and
you don't
honestly,
have to like everything.
no,
It
exactly.
doesn't have to be your jam.
And-
but if two of us like it,
the other funny thing though, when we are sitting down with the reps ordering, because I'm here and I usually determine where things go on the shelves and everything, is like, we need to order in even numbers.
Right.
she's always
is one
about
of
the
my
even
We're
numbers.
not going to order 13
Or
We're gonna
7.
Order 14.
Sorry, we
Or
have
12.
7.
Well, if
Of
the
11.
company only makes 7,
If the company
right?
only makes
only
7
makes 7
colors.
colors.
Like that's their fault, but
But it's a lot easier to shelf with an even
it is a lot easier, and you can pair them and all kinds of things.
They should have white or cream.
They should. I wonder if they plan to, and they
We're
just
referring
didn't.
to like a new spring.
new
We have a new spring
we'll,
yarn.
we'll talk about another podcast.
All right, so I know we're about to lose you, Amanda, and I think we do want to all stay for the whole thing. So let's talk about our whips,
Yeah.
okay?
Well-
because we can't.
We can't not talk about our whips.
And
on a
these are
podcast.
great
We all
whips.
have the same whip.
We
And
do
we
all have the same whip.
Which I think this is probably the first time this has ever happened, honestly.
It may be.
It
Well,
could be.
certainly that we've been podcasting.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. So we are all working on the Out-Stranding shawl by
We're all in
Christie
different
Archer.
stages.
Yes.
I'm way behind.
You're not way
That's all right.
behind.
You started,
I just cast
you
on,
started
like,
later.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we're having an event here on Friday, which
Which I think,
will
so
be in the
bummed I'm
past
gonna
by the
miss.
time.
which I think I can come
But-
to.
Oh yay! Yay!
I'm gonna come
We
to the
also
next
do have one more in May. So
Yeah, I'm
we
coming
have
to the May one, for
Yeah. So it is a textured fingering weight shawl with a nice texture pattern in the middle, and then you bring in these color pops.
Oh,
And
I'm upside down. No, that's right.
yeah, I'm holding it that way too. I've got enough stitches on here now. I'm afraid to hold it the other
I
way.
know.
Oh god. mine. Color
But
pops.
and actually, one thing, shout out to Madeline Tosh because
They've been so great for us.
They have been so helpful with this. This is a partnership we're doing with Knitty Natty. We did a vote on which shawl to do as a spring shawl knit along, and this was the winner. And
It's Out-Stranding by Christie Archer Design.
Yep.
and we've got some boxes here.
And we have boxes!
So it turned out the shawl that we picked needs one skein of the main color and less than a full skein of 2 accent colors. So we have been making, isn't that pretty?
Look at these colors.
I'm very proud of myself for this one.
Beautiful.
I'm really getting more into red. I mean,
Yeah.
but only certain reds. But
Only
look
certain
at-
reds. This
but
red.
it does,
This
that
red.
red. And this is a little bit brighter, but it's still fine.
Yeah, you and
Start
I are
mine.
doing the same. We have slightly different main colors.
So, anyway, we had enough yarn to do like even quantities of each color to do sets for that, but we actually need twice as many of the main color because of the way we're splitting skeins, and Madeline Tosh is going to be able to get us some more pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Oh.
put pre-orders up. Actually, by the time this is up on the website,
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll have
we may
pre-order
be-
a link
yeah.
below.
Yeah.
yeah.
I can't wait.
It's a very
so-
addictive shawl to knit, I have to say.
It really
Yeah.
is. It
I
really
was
is.
like-
I
yeah.
basically knit this on 2 3-hour plane flights and
Yeah.
2 hours in the hotel one night.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm bringing this with me on vacation.
Oh.
I tweaked the cast on a little bit because I didn't love the dip.
Oh.
Did you do a garter tab?
I did a modified garter tab,
Uh-huh.
so it's a stockinette tab.
Uh-huh.
So I cast
Oh,
on
let me
3.
see.
I did cast on 3
Nice.
stitches, knit 3 rows, knit purl 3 rows, stockinette.
Very nice.
And I did a provisional cast on, so I had 3 stitches, and I picked up 2, and so it gets rid of the little dip.
I will never notice.
I'm gonna block
most
mine
people
out.
will never notice.
That doesn't hit my
I'm the
radar.
crazy person.
You know what? Partly
I can't leave well enough alone.
I sort of got rid of it the way I wove in my ends. I pulled it
You
up a
can
little
easily
bit.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and also blocking. Like I didn't. Yeah, even that one doesn't really have it. But and it makes her very happy.
Makes me very happy.
I'm debating.
So.
I'm still debating to add more on here.
I know.
colors?
Well, if you
See,
if
I
you
have
have
that much more.
yeah, I started my color pops with 40 grams, and you know it's that math thing. Like once you get
It's the further you go, the
As
longer the rows.
40 grams, and you think you're going to have enough?
I hope I have enough for all 9 rounds of color pops. I'm not positive.
Maybe
I will.
I'll do some math and figure out how many yards.
I
40
started.
grams.
Yeah, I started doing.
Yeah.
I started weighing after every row, and
That's a good. I should do that.
You should do that because
You weigh
then you
up
can
and then you
also
know-
figure out, like, if you weigh every row, you know how many
rows you should have. Except they do keep getting longer. That's
Well-
the thing you've got to do.
Well,
from
what you
time
can
to
do, this
time.
is where
Unfortunately,
math I can do comes in. If you weigh your row and you know how many stitches are in your row, you can figure out approximately how much yarn each stitch takes.
Right.
Oh, that's
And
true.
then you can
Yeah.
figure out
And then you
approximately
can figure
how many
out
stitches you have still to
How
go.
many stitches you can get out of that, and then you can figure out your rows.
Tosh, mordants, and vinegar.
Yeah, you can totally smell it.
I love it.
When you open the box of Mad Tosh, you're like, vinegar. It smells like salad.
I just love that Tosh smell. It's so weird. I know.
So that's our current whip. I have other whips as well, but I didn't bring any.
Yeah, we didn't bring them though, and actually
It's a very good memory smell.
we did get straps from Shayla.
Yay!
So we have a limited number. They will be on the website.
Straps for
Shortly.
your Lavo bags.
If you already have a love, yeah, we talked about it. She forgot to include it on the invoice. I forgot to notice that it was not on the invoice, so I forgot to say, oh, we need those. And so she sweetly
Those are cool.
made
know-
some and sent them to us quickly.
I think that's a good reminder for anyone who orders online from like small businesses. There's always a person behind the screen.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And you guys are always great. I mean, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, people are really
you know
understanding.
us from, and we know you from your comments, but you know us from the podcast, so it's a little easier to put a name and a face
Yeah.
to, you know, who you're talking with, or be like, oh, Kathleen, you're on the phone. But I feel like that's something that can sometimes get lost.
Yeah, exactly. And we're
I
all human.
certainly,
We all
it
make
gets lost
mistakes
with
sometimes.
me.
I was about to
Like,
say, be nice in the comments, because you heard earlier, Jen holds a grudge.
I do hold a grudge. I hold positive grudges and I hold
Positive
negative
grudges.
grudges. Positive grudges
Is
where I'm
there
like,
a word for a positive
I,
grudge?
I feel like there
I feel like there should be. If there's not,
right? Because I'm like,
we
oh,
need to
remember
come up
that
with it.
time this person did something nice?
Yes.
I'm going to like give them more grace than maybe they ought to
That's true.
deserve.
I have people like that.
This sounds really negative and I
Positive
sound really
grudge.
judgy.
I love it. I love it.
But I am judgy. Who
Positive
are we
grudge.
kidding?
All right, we
Um,
will look into that and find
I know.
out.
What's a positive grudge? What would you call a positive grudge?
Or
That's
is,
right.
is there already a word for
Comment
that?
below.
Prudge? No, that sounds like grudge.
Okay.
So,
Any
Do you
other
have anything else?
questions?
We've got like
I think we're good,
5
right?
minutes left.
So
Do we? Okay.
Well,
Well, I feel like that's a good wrap up.
can
though,
we
our whips.
quickly say what's behind us?
yes.
Oh yes, that's
Oh my
what
gosh.
I was
A
going to say.
frequently asked question behind
Yes.
us. We have
This is our Noro cabinet.
This is our Noro
so,
cabinet, yeah.
So the bottom shelf is Noro Silk Garden, which is a multi. And then
It's
the
just gonna
shelf,
fall on you.
the shelf above that is Silk Garden Solo. And these two yarns together are one of my favorites for
Oh, yeah.
the night shift. And Amanda, you did yours in, I think, all Silk Garden, right?
Silk Garden, yeah.
I also love
I'm so glad you said this because I was thinking we'd have to do it another time. This is
the
even better.
classic 1x1
Noro scarf.
Noro scarf.
And
This
one made into a cowl.
Made into
right?
a cowl.
This
Two
is Jared
colorways.
Flood. This pattern, a
Yeah.
jewelry pattern. So I'll
Yeah.
link
Though,
it.
as he says, it's like it's.
I mean,
it's kind of-
everybody's done it.
He wrote it up.
He wrote it down, which is great,
He wrote
and
it
he's
down, so
very
it makes it
thoughtful and
easy
writes
for
things
people to-
nicely.
Yeah.
to make it.
And then up here we have Noro.
This is Madara, which is. Oh wait, did
This
you
is a
get
crayon, yeah. So this is
But
crayon.
is yours in crayon or yours is in Silk Garden?
This
Jen?
is Silk Garden.
That is Silk
This
Garden.
is crayon.
Okay.
The
There we go.
mitten up here is crayon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this is Abby has a project that started in this. This would also be a good, honestly, like deserted island yarn.
It would
makes
be.
it so fun.
You know what else? It felts really well. I've made felted things out of it. If you want to do a little, like, make a little purse or something.
You can't get bored with crayon.
You can't get bored with crayon.
And if you hit a color you don't like, you can always break the yarn.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's minimally processed. Like, I like crayon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the next shelf, which you can't see, but
this
it is up
pretty
here,
color.
is
Madara,
which is a newer yarn from Nora.
Wool silk alpaca.
I think it is their first alpaca, or certainly their first in the time we've carried them. And then, we have always had a nice amount of Nora from the start.
Yeah.
And then this is Ito.
My oldest daughter Beth is a Noro fan. Everything I make Noro, the night shift, the sweater over there, the Amy, what's her name?
Oh,
Who made Felix? Christophers. The Amy Christophers sweater that I made. Beth's claimed them both as soon as they leave as samples from the store. That's her fave. That's very much her vibe.
Ito is lovely.
It is nice. It really is. Yep.
Is that worsted?
It's worsted to Aran.
So similar to Curry yarn. It's just
in a bigger put up. That's pretty much. I did actually a whole table of all the Nora yarns, and it's on our little clipboard, but I don't know that I've ever told anyone it's there.
That looks great. So this is what's behind us every time. Super colorful, right?
And we actually carry other Nora yarns too, but this just happens to be what fits in this cabinet.
And the reason that we sit here is because this is near our front door that has nice light.
Yes.
Has nice light, and we have enough room to actually put the table here and have all of us sit.
If we sat at the back, we would have an orange glow, because we've got a nice orange wall.
Which is a nice pop of color when you come in,
but
is
fun when you're in, but doesn't photograph well when you're reflecting on your skin.
No.
So
it'll look like Oompa Loompas.
Yes, exactly.
We get nice northern light, so it's beautiful.
Yep.
And the sun came out today. It was raining
finally.
earlier.
Yes,
my hair would be less melty if it had been out earlier.
Yeah, same. Little frizz.
Yeah.
All
So guys,
thank you so much for coming with us.
Thank you so much.
And for all the questions. It was really nice to have.
And we so appreciate it.
Hope you enjoyed this.
Yep.
Yay.
And, we'll do another one for 100. We'll see what else we learn.
If you have more questions, throw them in. When Amanda's like, no, this is going to be too hard.
This is a lot of editing. Amanda, I will send you a list of all the things, so if you want to do the little thingies in advance, that will help, hopefully.
So I've got a little bit of extra time to work on this. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the meantime, guys, thank you for joining us for this podcast and previous podcasts. Follow us on Instagram as Shop Yarnia. Our website is shopyarnia.com. Facebook, we're Shop Yarnia. And make sure to sign up for our newsletter on our website. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom, fill in your email address.
Yeah.
And then like and subscribe here because
and please do like. Actually, it's funny. I noticed I was in the the background dashboard or whatever the other day, and we have more comments than likes on a lot of episodes.
Hit like,
so please like us. It makes us feel good.
We love it.
A little bit of
desperate for attention,
I guess. Well, we know from the comments and from what people say. We hear them on the phone, but
we really appreciate.
It's still nice to have we totally appreciate it.
Yeah.
We love hearing from you.
We do change things up a little bit. It helps us to know hey, did you like this one?
Exactly.
Because we do look at what got the most likes, and we'll be like, oh, interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that, or oh yeah, no, that fits.
Jen swore in that one. I know that's what
I know. Because Amanda gets to beat me out again. The first time Amanda beat me out, it was a doorbell ring, and I was watching it on the TV, and I was like, who is at the doorbell? And then I realized it was just me cursing.
I don't do that anymore.
I like the sheep.
I like the sheep. I like the sheep.
Jen said
Jen said Jen says a lot of bad words. It's really a lot of restraint to not curse constantly, just in my general everyday life. I was going to say also hit the notification bell because we have
because sometimes
non-podcast episodes like Amanda's Fair episode, which is awesome.
I still need to watch.
Oh, I do have one coming up.
Yeah.
Yay! Good. Tell me, what is it?
I don't remember.
I haven't edited it yet. It'll be a surprise to all of us.
Oh yeah. I remember now. It'll be a surprise.
It's worth it.
Cool. It's the sock stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. So, thanks again for watching, guys, and for all your questions, and we look forward to talking with you again soon.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye.